shit outrageous. They done made the truth dust out. That's why we on the corner crying aloud, looking hostile. I.S.U.P.K. I ride and let the rich mourn till the sundown. Enough with this shit, about to make it hot, cold and compel. This for my niggas, put the guns in the drums down. Dwelling in peace till the Lord call for the blood. Hey, try to decide my death. And y'all beside yourself. Swore draw for what you perform. How you gon' hide yourself? Devil got to die for his lies and his bitch. Ain't got no love for them crackers. No, just cruel intentions. And then my father's house is spinning mansions. I got plenty bitch for the adventures. This your death sentence. I'm talking real slaughter, yeah, slaughter, yeah, slaughter, yeah, slaughter, yeah, slaughter, yeah, slaughter, yeah, slaughter. The day do not rise. Go ahead and feel the world with eyes. And die for your skin. You gon' die for your crime. That's why I'm talking to you. So run for your life. Your life. Try to destroy my people. You gotta pay the price, nigga. You gotta hear, let them hear. Till the devil's let me get this deal. Slaughter, yeah, slaughter, yeah. Now they shook from vicious words out this handed book. About to take these rappers back to school. My flow said and hook. They crossed the line, ain't no coming back. You became no cowards. The only thing sweet is the honey check. Righteous is the Lord. Give me rest from my sorrow. And hand out death for the devils. There's no tomorrow. Why? Cause they violence leave a man a stiff corpse. You see a flag, MC horns in a pitchfork. Go ahead. So please believe it. The white man is a demon. And I ain't gon' vote for them to free me. It is still weak. They call him purple. That's why this knife till ain't broke like ceiling. You got this nigga on his knees. They wanna have peace. We screaming, let this bitch burn at 1,000 degrees. Them land in the bosom of revenge. I told her I'd do anything she please. As I squeeze on the double D's. Fuck you, man. I'm talking to you. Slaughter, yeah, slaughter, yeah, slaughter, yeah. And feel the you gotta pay the price, nigga. You gotta hear, let them hear. Till the devil's let me. Yeah, slaughter, yeah.
The police just shot him for no apparent reason. No reason at all. They asked for license and registration. That's the police officer over there that did it. With the black on. I can't really do shit because they got me handcuffed. I can't believe they just did this. I'm fucking
Try to destroy my people. You gotta pay the price, nigga. You gotta hear, let them hear. Till the devil's let me get this deal. Slaughter, yeah, slaughter, yeah. Because I'm willing to fight against drug dealers. If they Muslim, if they Christian, if they atheist, if they Buddhist, if they shooting black men, guess what? I'm gonna say something. Because you know why? Just like you ain't gonna, like your boy said, it ain't gonna happen. Yes, somebody sell you drugs without me saying it. My whole life was trying to find something and a lot of sorrow. Got betrayed so packed, I didn't even have my heart broke. Living confused, about to lose hope. Cops even fairy tale. Listen well to what I tell. No calling it cause pain. That a rapper knows very well. Can't you tell I was sent from the that they might just record? The only thing equal is the curse for the wicked and the righteous reward. Have mercy on the men that don't see it, separated from the tares. Now on my prayers in the so be rebel. Take the world by word of mouth. U.P.K, we the rebels that you heard of. Get right, you ain't heard of clout. Without a shadow of a doubt, these devils hitting licks off. Cannot stop us. Plus I know the fever that they church full of witch doctors. When they stop violence, meanwhile U.P.K turn the rebels into rock wallers and leave with mighty men. And that made sense. Like why I'm crying at this funeral for a criminal, knowing he ain't innocent. It's fucked up. But my boo shot, standing between two priests, about to blaze on their heads, call it tough love. Look out for niggas just wouldn't touch a white bitch with OJ's black gloves. Father, forgive me for my errors. I'm forever by your side. King and person of all my flaws. This the reason I'm alive. Thank God for this truth. Cause for a long time, it's a rebel without a cause. Look, man, first time I'm making Planet J, YAHANNA, man, here 3807. Rebel without a cause. My little daughter with me. Open the door, he was dropping the truth on me and all that. Rebel without a cause. Man, you know. You do your time, we taking them all, training to hand-to-hand combat. Rebel without a cause, it's the reason I'm alive. Thank God for this long time, it's a rebel without a cause. We're already dead. We're already beaten down. We've been beaten down for 400 years. We already got the wounds inside and outside. How you gonna hurt us? You cannot threaten us. You cannot frighten us. We live in the most frightening places, under the most frightening conditions. We are immune to fear. We are Spot. What's up? What's up? Act 17:5. Only the evil down with people we ain't equal. May the Lord slay the eagle. Hey, Jacob, my people, we got Edom trying to bleed them. May the Lord take his wings away. A little wine needs my mind. May Yahweh help the blind see another day. So don't be foolish to the movement, cause it's proven we the truest in the U.P.K. And if I fall, my heart sweat, my heart's my conscience, my arms inside this. I'm like Paul, they plotting when I talk of prophets, Acts 17:5. If I recall the violence, yeah, they all gon' die quick and we all gon' watch it. Yeah. So I'm calm as I said, no, they can't stop it. Acts 17:5. See, I was trying to find my way, the devil's all up in my way. The devil real, can't you feel him breathing? Killing niggas for no reason, guess it's killing season. Satan always steady trying to end up my sins. Something gotta give for all the good that I put in. Lord, please forgive me, I was growing up with monsters, so I had no other options. I was glad I'm not up in the pen, instead I'm writing with a pen. So the simple understand that the weak say I'm strong, put the meek where they belong. Let the streets say I'm away. And if they do, then I'm away till every Jew make it say, every Jew ain't gonna be saved. On that faithful, dreadful day, hope I get to see the day when every devil pass away. Put our minds together under one umbrella. We belong to a tribe, let us find each other. Only the evil down with people, we ain't equal. May the Lord slay the eagle. Jacob, my people, we got Edom trying to bleed them. May the Lord take his wings away. A little wine needs my mind. May Yahweh help the blind see another day. So don't be foolish to the movement, cause it's proven we the truest in the U.P.K. And if I fall, my heart sweat, my heart's my conscience, my arms inside this. I'm like Paul, they plotting when I talk of prophets, Acts 17:5. If I recall the violence, yeah, they all gon' die quick and we all gon' watch it. As I said, no, they can't stop it, Acts 17:5. people, we ain't equal. Made the Lord slay the eagle. Hey. Check up my people, we got eat them, trying to bleed them. May the Lord take his wings away. A little wine ease my mind, may Yahweh help the blind see another day. So don't be foolish to the movement, cause it's proven we the truest in the U.P.K. And if I fall my ox with my heart's my conscience, my arms inside this. I'm like Paul, they plotting when I talk of prophets, Acts 17:5. If I recall the violence, yeah, they all gon' die quick and we all gon' watch it. So I'm calm as I said, no, they can't stop it. Acts 17:5.
Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, Mile 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commanding General YAHANNA. It's like since 1969, we've been teaching blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians our true identity according to the Bible, which is the 12 tribes of Israel, you understand, or the Lord's chosen people, and the only people upon the face of this earth, you understand, that the Lord gives a damn about, according to these scriptures. And of course, that our oppressor is the same man that has made blacks, Hispanics, and native slaves, the same one that has been murdering us since 1492, you understand, is nothing more than the devil that the Bible speaks of. Saying today is the Wednesday night biblical law class, saying where we teach our people, you know, how it is we're supposed to be conducting ourselves, you know, throughout the earth, as well as what it is that the Lord expects of us as a nation. So today we're going to be getting into, you know, why it is that, you know, our people are in such a low state anywhere throughout the face of this earth that we go. You understand? Which it all boils down to us not keeping the laws, statutes, and commandments that the Lord gave to us as a nation. You understand? But all the curses that the Lord would put onto us for being so defiant is, you know, written throughout these scriptures right here. Saying that's what we're going to be getting today. I'll give you a second to go ahead and share the class. So we're going to be starting off in Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 15. I'll give you a second to get there. All right, let's get it. Book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, saying, so a time will come that the nation of Israel will choose not to listen to what it is that the Lord told us to do, you understand, in these scriptures. You understand? We'll choose to, follow in all these different ways that come against what it is that the Lord has told us to do. So, for instance, the Lord told us not to go out and, celebrate man-made holidays. But yet so many of us just got done celebrating, what was it called? A Memorial Day. You understand? Honoring the veterans of America. You understand? All the soldiers. You understand? Lord told us not to go out and commit, adultery, not to have interracial relationships, not to be drug addicts, drug dealers. You understand? Murderers, liars, thieves. You understand? We chose not to listen to what it was the Lord told us to do as a nation, but instead we followed in all the ways of man. It's like to observe, to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day. You understand? So us as a nation, and we're supposed to have a, strict, moral code, you could say. Saying we're supposed to have a strict set of rules that we follow by, and not straying from it at all in any type of way. Understand? And that code that we're supposed to go by, and that line is laid out throughout this book right here. You understand? Where the Lord tells us to keep the laws, statutes, and commandments that He gave to us as a nation. And saying, and every single time that we choose to defy and to go in our own ways, go in the ways of the heathen, and just trying to do our own thing, the Lord always punishes us for doing so. And which is, documented in these scriptures right here. That all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. Saying, you don't have to be a goddamn, rocket scientist to know that Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians are, obviously under, some type of, just like scripture said, curse, with us always being the ones singled out for, all these different heinous acts, like being murdered, you understand, having drugs put in our communities, being thrown in jails, you understand, and we're always the top ones that are, coming against our own brothers, our own sisters, you understand, destroying our own communities. And it's all because the Lord has put curses upon us as a nation because we chose not to follow in His ways. Because we chose to love the ways of the world, to love the ways of America, and do as it is our oppressor says we should do. You understand? Things that he deems as being, just or right. Instead, when that's not what the Lord intended for us as a nation. It's lucky. Verse 16. Cursed shall thou be in the city. Saying you can go to any ghetto, you understand, across America, across the United States, any barrio, you understand, and you can, without a doubt, tell who it is that is cursed in these cities throughout the land of America. And you can tell who it is that is the main one singled out and have such hardships, just brought down on their heads, which is Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. Saying all you gotta do is go look at all the police killings that happen to our people. You understand? Look at how it is that we're always profiled throughout the lands, no matter what our status is, no matter, how it is we conduct ourselves throughout the land of America. And we are always the prime targets and the prime victims, you understand, in these different cities. I mean, all you got to do is go and look at what happened recently, you understand, to the brother in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and George Floyd, who was, just murdered by a handful of police officers. You understand, had his damn, life choked away from him. You understand, had a damn devil on his neck, saying had his knee into his neck, pushing all the air up out of him, crushing his windpipe. Saying brother was sitting there letting him know, I can't breathe, telling the people around him they're gonna kill me. And that's just a single instance in which you can see who it is that is, cursed in these cities. You understand? There have been numerous murders of our people throughout these lands. You understand? This recent heinous crime that was committed against, George Floyd. You understand? That made me think of, Eric Garner. You understand? The brother that was choked out for selling cigarettes. You understand? He was choked to death. You understand? You got your Tamir Rice, Philando Castile, Sandra Bland. You understand? All of these children of the Lord who were ruthlessly murdered, all because of simply, the color of their skin. Murdered because America hates blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. You understand? When you hate a people, of course you're going to take action. You see, and you're going to show your hatred to these people. You understand? Which is why not only are we the top ones being murdered by the police, you understand, and citizens that do what's it called, citizens arrests. You understand? But we're also the ones that have all of these different, like, we're just the ones that have all these different, stipulations put into place that makes our lives just a little harder in the ghettos. You know what I'm saying? It's harder for us to, get housing, to get, slaves or jobs. Harder for us to get loans in order for us to simply survive in the land of America. You understand? And even if we do manage to somehow come up and have a decent life, you understand, trying to survive with our own, then our oppressor can come through and does what he's been doing to our communities, which is gentrifying them. You understand? Pushing in his doctrines into our communities to help destroy us further, such as Christianity, and something that he has instilled into us since Columbus. You understand? And that's just, a couple of things, a handful of things. You understand? The list goes on and on about all the different, crimes and just, blatant hatred that these people have for us. You understand? But I want to get back on the subject with, George Floyd and all these other brothers and sisters that have been murdered, throughout the cities in America. You understand? And how it is that there has never been any type of justice for us as a nation. You understand? Any and every time that one of us get murdered, you understand, no matter how long it is that the proceedings go on for, it's lucky. You understand? There's always never a true justice for us. You understand? They might sit there and suspend an officer, you understand, or fire him and say, that was just. that was the right call for this or that. They said that's what they did with the devil that killed, that brother in Minneapolis. They said they simply fired the officer and, they expect for that to be the end of it, which is what they've done with so many, other devils that have killed our people in cold blood. You understand? We got to realize that when these people, sit there and murder us and, beat us, sit there and falsely accuse us of something and jail us for a period of time, that all this is an act of war. Understand? Because they're doing this against a nation that is not of their own. Understand? But since we can't go out and simply rebel, protect our, communities and households, understand that should go, that should go, to show you, it's like it, that the U.S. justice system is not set up for Blacks, Hispanics, or Native Indians. So if that was the case, every single one of these police officers that have ever murdered one of us, they would get the death penalty. And they would get multiple life sentences without the chance of parole or bail or, anything like that. But instead, they get a little slap on the hand and they're able to continue with their daily lives. And few of them are, paraded around like heroes. I hear signing Skittle packets and, damn Confederate flags. You understand? That just goes to show that this place is not meant for the nation of Israel, for Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. And there's only one place meant for us, and it's not in no goddamn Africa. It's not in the Middle East. It's not amongst any of these heathen nations. You're saying the only place for Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians is the I.S.U.P.K under Commander General YAHANNA. You're saying once we start keeping what it was the Lord demanded for us to do, then we'll have the kingdom of heaven. You're saying we'll start to rule this earth. You're saying and the whole earth will be all about Blacks, Hispanics, and Natives. The 12 tribes of Israel. You're saying without any of these other nations coming up against us. It's lucky. And cursed shalt thou be in the field. You're saying, so just like we'll take a modern approach to it. Just look at our Hispanic brothers, for instance. You understand? They've been thrown into these concentration camps all across, the United States border. Saying where you got a damn government that has stolen their land, trying to say that they are here illegally, knowing damn well you cannot be illegal on stolen land. And so even after, saying our brothers are out there, brothers and sisters are out there suffering from, starvation, saying not being able to bathe, not having water, not having medical supplies, being beaten, being psychologically tortured, you understand, women being raped, women kind of missing, you understand, children being, sexually, molested, children coming up missing. You understand, even after all this hardship that they're facing is out there, in the borders, damn near, middle of nowhere, even after going through all this hell, you're saying doing all this begging and pleading, you understand, now that there's reports come out that COVID-19 is in one of, the, facilities out in Albuquerque. You understand, getting our Hispanic brothers sick, and when they already had the most minute of food, water, and most importantly, medical supplies, and any type of thing that can treat the COVID-19 virus. You understand? So our brothers are ultimately going to end up, perishing out there. Because America does not give a damn about our Hispanic brothers. It's evident from the concentration camps they've been in for months now. So really, now it's been, over a year now. You understand? Just because there's some virus, just tearing through our brothers and sisters out there, America is not all of a sudden going to give a damn about them. So they're going to leave them out there to rot and to, if they can survive it, which has always been the mentality of America. You understand? Allowing for some type of sickness to come through and to, deplete our numbers, make us weak, just like he did when he first came into the lands. You say, when I say he, I mean our oppressor. You understand? Wiping out over 90% of North America and South America populations. Saying that's not just, our Hispanic brothers in the ICE facilities, but that's also, the Gadites, so-called Native Indians out on the reservations. Say, especially, out on the Navajo Nation. Understand? We were already out there with, it was already hard for us to get food and water. We're already suffering from addiction out there in the reservations, suffering from alcoholism. And then this virus comes through and just absolutely ravages. There's no water coming in. There's certainly no medical supplies. Because out of one of the times that, the nation requested assistance instead of, food or water, basic necessities needed, they were sent body bags instead of what it is that we need in order to survive. That just goes to show you the amount of, hatred that these people have for us as a nation. Instead of just giving up, really scraps, because we get scraps regardless, they'd much rather just send us some body bags and call it a day. So we're going to skip down to verse 21. I'll give you a second to get there. Saying one thing you might want to take note of is, even with all 12 tribes being so far apart, so that mainly Black Hispanics in the cities, or Hispanics across the border, and natives out in the reservations. And even with us being so distant, we all still fall under the same curses, and we all still suffer in the same type of way. You're saying we're the only people that suffer in, in these ways. You're saying there ain't no other nation that can match these curses in this book right here. So once you look past skin tone or the language someone speaks, and you look at the condition of the people, you can see who it is that are our brethren. You can see the clear difference between the nations. Saying because ain't no East Indian gonna fall under these curses. Asian, African, Arab, or devil gonna fall under the curses in this book right here. Saying it strictly pertains to blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. Verse 21, the Lord shall make the pestilence cleave onto thee. Salakia. Saying for those of us that don't know, pestilence it's like a fatal epidemic. So think like the damn bubonic plague or smallpox when Christopher Columbus and all these other devils landed on these shores. And got the Gadites, Indians, and the Hispanic brothers sick. Wiping out millions of us. Understand? But with this coronavirus, this is most certainly, it's definitely a fatal epidemic. I'm saying it's something that is considered that they consider a biblical plague, which it is. Because it's infected, really the whole earth. It's killing people all over the earth. You understand? But it just so happens that when it hits blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, you understand, it gets us, sick in, what's considered large numbers for our nation. Understand? Because we're the smallest of all these nations. You understand? And then there's you could say a large number of us dying from it as well. Saying especially out in Albuquerque. You're saying there are currently 7,130 current cases with 325 deaths. So I'm not saying that's all, blacks, Hispanics, and natives, but New Mexico, that's predominantly, blacks and Hispanics, as well as Native Indians. So I know out in the Navajo Nation alone, they got, I think they're like 2,000 sick right now. I'm saying 2,000 people that are infected. You're saying they got a little over 100 deaths. You're saying, and the thing that is most shocking for us as a nation, especially with, how it is that we view ourselves. You're saying, because we already know we're the strongest, saying the fastest, the smartest. I'm saying the best nation out there. No one can beat us. But yet, we're all getting sick in such, high numbers. You're saying we're dying. You're saying, and it's something that we have not seen in our generation or really, last couple of generations, something like this that the Lord has sent upon the face of this earth. I'm saying that's how we're getting closer and closer to these end times. until ye have consumed thee from off the land, whither thou goest to possess it. So just like all throughout the land of America, or the United States, Slovakia, and northern Canada, you understand? We're just getting sick at large numbers, or seems to be large numbers. And on top of that, you can go into South America. You understand? You got countries that have been hit, hard with the COVID-19. I believe I want to say either Brazil or Venezuela are the top countries in South America that have been ravaged with this virus. So it might have started over there in China, infecting millions. He's saying killing a couple thousand, going to Italy, killing a couple thousand. Yes, yeah, but when it gets here in the U.S., he's saying it lingers in these lands. Italy, well, at least that they make it seem. What I'm saying, they got their cases, cleared up for a majority. You understand? But here in America, it's definitely lingering, and not only is it punishing the children of Israel, but it's also punishing our oppressor for all the crimes that he has committed against us. You know what I'm saying? For all the brothers that they've ruthlessly killed, like George Floyd. You understand? Like Eric Garner, Tamir Rice, Lando Castile, Sandra Bland. You understand? The list just goes on and on and on. You understand? The Lord doesn't just let all these crimes go unanswered. You know what I'm saying? There's always some type of punishment that is dealt out to these other heathen nations for what it is that they've done to us. We're going to skip to verse 25. Yeah, kind of. Verse 25. I'll give you a second. It's lucky. All right, verse 25. The Lord shall cause thee to be smitten before thine enemies. It's lucky. I'm saying, so the Lord will cause the nation of Israel to be, smitten or, slayed or killed by our enemies. For instance, we can look at what happened to that brother in Minneapolis, Minnesota, who had the life choked out of him. So we can look at, the countless numbers of brothers and sisters, Slucky, who have been, murdered in cold blood. And we can look at all the ancestors, saying who were murdered out of, simply just sport. I'm saying you can go back and you can look at a lot of different examples. And, no matter what the occasion is, no matter, what the damn time period is, whether it's 2020, 2018, 2016, 2010, saying no matter how much you want to say it's a new age or, whatever nonsense it is you want to spew out, saying our oppressor is always the one that is murdering us. Saying he's always the one that goes out of his way in order to kill us as a nation. Saying it's not only, police forces, but it's also, all the citizens of America. And saying everyday people just walking around, you could say minding their own business. I'm saying nobody you'd even bat an eye at. And before you know it, you're saying they got you at gunpoint. You understand? They're out here, trying to call the cops on you, making a false, statement in order to try to get you killed. Like what happened, I believe that was like yesterday. You understand? Where this devil with her dog called the police on a brother that was bird watching. You understand? And tried to lie on him in order to get him killed. You understand? These just a few things that, happen to us in these lands. You understand? That lead to our deaths, because there have been plenty of Black, Hispanic, or Native men or women that have, been falsely accused and then murdered. You stand by our oppressor. You understand? And a perfect example for, just everyday, devils just walking around, supposedly minding their own business, having a good day, is, those really three devils that, stalked and ultimately lynched Ahmed, I believe you say Arbery. His standing brother who was just jogging, and the next thing you know, two devils pull up on him and shoot him. You're saying you can go find an abundance of instances where we're just, ultimately murdered by our oppressor. I'm saying set up to be murdered. You're saying, and an important thing to note is that it says we'll be, smitten before our enemies, and the same people that have been sitting there and killing us, you understand, murdering us, just doing, all types of acts to us. It's always been the same people that have been oppressing us since 1492. It ain't been, no other nation that has done it in any type of way like our oppressor does. You're saying that's just how who it is that's our enemy. You're saying he's not a friend. He's not a cool dude. He ain't somebody we can just simply trust. You say none of that. Thou shalt go out one way against them. So we'll come together as a people, saying, and decide to face our oppressor. You know what I'm saying? Our enemy that has been destroying us for so long. For instance, you can look at the, things called a protest, essentially would turn to a riot, with that brother that was murdered, I'm saying, by the police officers. Yes, and you had blacks and Hispanics, as well as a couple devils mingled in, because they always got to get their claws into what we have going on. I'm saying we decide to protest and march and let it be known that we want justice. You understand? We all went out one way against our oppressor. I'm saying, and that's doesn't only apply to protests, but just unity in general for our people. And so you can look at Black Wall Street or Tulsa, Oklahoma. Saying us coming together. That was ultimately us coming against America and essentially its economy. So even if we don't take up arms or blatantly march onto someone, saying what we had going on back then is building up our economic infrastructure, while at the same time it was making theirs weaker. You know what I'm saying? And you can go back even further and look at the instances where blacks, Hispanics, and natives would come together during times of slavery. And so you had natives that would sit there and raid and break out slaves off of plantations and bring them into their tribes, make them prominent fish, even leaders, warriors. You understand? One real famous instance was, I believe it's called Fort Negro. That was where Native Indians, Seminole Indians, and so-called African Americans came together. They took a fort, and we were just trying to really live our lives. I believe it lasted like 40 years or something like that. Same, but we'll get more into that though. It's lucky. Thou shalt go out one way against them. So we had a unity, we come against our oppressors, and flee 7 ways before them, and shall be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth. So even with all the unity that we sit there promote, and we sit there and build our bonds, build whatever brotherhood it is we have going on amongst the different tribes, I'm saying, and amongst our own community. So for instance, we can look at that protest, and then what led into the riot in Minneapolis, is then where you have these law enforcement officers sitting there and throwing or spraying and throwing tear gas into the crowds, and causing for everyone to scatter in every type of direction possible in order to escape the madness, in order to escape that toxic gas. And that's something that commonly happens with blacks, Hispanics, and natives. Saying whether, no matter what protest it is, no matter how strongly we feel about a certain situation, we always end up having to disband and break apart and flee away from our oppressor, because we really only have one option in these lands if we want to survive, or at least it's portrayed we only have one option, which is to simply be peaceful. You understand? To just march. You understand? Marching and showing love, it'll get the job done, when it's never done the job for our communities. He said we should have been taught to keep the laws, statutes, and commandments instead of sitting there marching and begging our oppressor for some type of justice. I'm saying the same thing happened with, the different protests on native lands that have been stolen for oil or for some type of resource. You understand? Different tribes come together, natives and blacks and Hispanics. And the same thing happened like it happened at that protest. I'm saying tear gas is introduced. You understand? You get rubber bullets. You get armed personnel that strikes fear into the heart of our people. Saying, and we can go back to we were talking about, you understand, where for Black Wall Street, well, really for both of them, you say when they sat there and they bombed our communities, saying sat there, ran up in there, started, lynching and shooting, people, wiping out the prominent figures in our, community, or the little, well, what we like to call now like movements, you understand, and that would ultimately cause for our people to scatter, in the wind, trying to seek refuge anywhere that we can go. And you can, go back to the Fort Negro, understand, where natives, blacks, and Seminoles came together. You understand? We fought and pushed our oppressor back for 40 years. You understand? But ultimately, you understand, it resulted in, what was our home. You understand? This place where we built that idea of brotherhood and unity amongst each other that enabled for us to go out is destroyed. You understand? Blew up with a single cannonball that hit the ammo supply cache, or I should say the ammo, gunpowder, cannonballs, with the muskets and the cannons, and the whole armory, essentially. Could have said that. You understand? But no matter what it is that we're doing, no matter what time period it is, we're always going to have to, I shouldn't say have to, but we're always going to end up being defeated by our oppressor. I'm saying we're always going to have fear in our hearts when we see, armed personnel sitting there coming up to us. You understand? Threatening, to do what it is the devil does best, which is shoot to kill. You understand? To steal. You understand? Let's skip down to verse. We're going to go verse 26. Verse 26. And thy carcass shall be meat unto all fowls of the air. And so just like, certain, fowls or birds are attracted to carcasses or dead things. You understand? So for instance, we can look at, all the, not only police killings, but killings in our own communities. Is that anytime you see some type of news report, or, if you're at a crime scene in itself, and you notice that they always leave our, bodies just sitting out for, an absurd amount of time. You understand? Just sitting there to be on display by everybody. You understand? And if there were actually, birds in the cities like that, I'm saying scavengers like crows or vultures, saying these different birds that eat, dead things. You understand? And then, you know, there'd be more of a presence with, this particular part of the scripture. You say, but if you go out to, the reservations, or you go out to, the ICE facilities, you're saying, and you look at, I mean, really, really, all the different murders, or really just deaths. Because, I mean, we already went over before how, we're all done the same way, whether you are out in the reservations or in the cities, or, out by the borders. You understand? We're all murdered by our oppressor. You understand? We all, hate and kill on our own due to what it is that we've been taught by our oppressor. You see, and by doing so, you see, we perpetuate this cycle, amongst ourselves. That is, saying, not saying it involves our oppressor and his police forces or the individuals themselves. We perpetuate this cycle that just leads to more death of our people. You understand? It leads to more, just destruction of our communities. And unto the beasts of the earth, and no man shall fray them away. So even after our oppressor sits there and murders us in the streets, you understand, he'll allow for, any type of beast to come up and desecrate our bodies. For instance, I believe it was in like 2015 or 2016. I'm saying, there was a group of officers that murdered a brother, and, they simply allowed for their dog to sit there and, tear at his body. You understand? Rip flesh from him. You understand? And basically do whatever it is that it wanted to do, for the simple fact that, I mean, these people don't care about us either in life or in death. Saying that can even go into our oppressor themselves. Because our oppressor is nothing more than a damn beast. You're saying an animal. You're saying, or as the scriptures put it, a damn beast of the field. You understand? So when, he sits there and, makes his arrest, which we've seen in so many videos, and they sit there and dogpile on top of you. You understand? And then you got all these different witnesses, essentially, letting, officers or these devils know how wrong they are, and that they need to do something, or else they're going to end up, killing whoever is they're arresting. You understand? Ain't none of these people going to sit there and fray away or shoo away, these damn devils from doing what it is that they want to do. And saying they want to murder us, I mean, that's exactly what they're going to do. And they got the law on their side. So, I mean, why else would they stop? I'm going to skip down to verse 32. Give you a second to get there. Yeah, come do verse 32. Verse 32. Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people. It's lucky. So you can go to any city, throughout the United States, any of these treasured cities. You say any of, the smaller cities, the towns, really anywhere that we are as a people. And when you do so, you can always find how, there's a large amount of us who have had, children that have been abducted. I'm saying you can, turn on, the news, or, look up your Amber Alerts, or however it is you want to do it. And you can always find where there's either a Black, Hispanic, or Native, little boy or little girl that has come up missing. And different, you could say, studies that it is that our oppressor does. Same with their, police forces, where they gather, information on crimes and what nation is that's committing more crimes, who's committing more of certain crimes, who it is that's coming up missing more than anybody, the age differences, things like that. It's always, Blacks, Hispanics, and Natives that are, higher than everybody else. You understand? We're always the ones who are, we've always been the ones who've been targeted, but especially when it comes to our children, and they are the ones that, are, severely targeted with, either sex trafficking, by child predators, anything along those lines. Our children are always the, the most desirable of these other nations. Yes, and like in, I believe it was, I think it was like Nebraska. There was a study done about, missing people. You understand? And, the police forces, they came up with, after gathering all their information, compiling it together, they came up with the fact that, Black and Native children are, coming up missing the most in their specific, state. And, they came up with, it's a lot of young, Native boys that are coming up missing, throughout their state. So with, New Mexico and, all these different, south, west states, states along the borders, like Arizona, Cali, Texas, saying is most likely going to be, more of, Hispanic and, so-called African American children that have come up missing, throughout these lands just because, we're more prominent, which we've always been the most to come up missing, no matter where it is that we are, whether, it was when like Columbus and them landed all the way up until today. You understand? Or just because of the hatred that these people have for us, as well as how vulnerable our children are. You understand? They're just always the prime, candidates to be taken. Children as well as women, which is why so many, women also go missing, especially if they have children. You understand? They go missing with their children. And that's not just, children being taken from their parents, from their homes, but that's as well as, abortions. I'm saying, if you sit there and if you're a man, you lay with some wicked broad, you understand, she's gonna, go and get rid of, your seed the first chance she gets if you upset her. So if you make her mad in any type of way, and she's giving that child to, America. I'm saying, giving, essentially sacrificing that child over to our oppressor. And our eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long. So just like whenever our children are sitting there and, have been kidnapped, abducted, whichever one you want to use. And, obviously with us being, the most, you could say loving people on this earth, people that have the most sympathy that there is out there. When it comes to our children and how deeply we love them, especially when it comes to, child abductions, we can't help but to think about them every goddamn day. Every second of the day, wondering how it is that they are. Wondering if, they're even alive still. And that's not something that our oppressor can say. Recently, I don't remember which state it was or which city. But there was a woman who claimed that her son was abducted by, I believe it was like three black men. And then a video comes out later of her pushing her autistic son into what looked like a pond and watched him drown. You understand? These people don't have the same type of sympathy or love that we have as a nation. So they can't sit there and, truly, worry about their children, their babies. Because it's just not part of their nature. It's just not who they are as a nation. It's lucky. I'm going to reread that middle part from the top. And then I shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long. So not only, with the, child abductions, but that can also go into, all the different abortions that are happening, in our different, communities. It's like, understand. So just like, For instance, the black community, say black women have 500,000 abortions a goddamn year. So just imagine how many black men are out there like, damn. You understand? I could have, I could have had me a son or daughter. I could have started my family. You understand? You'd be thinking on it. You'd be, pondering on it. You always just have it on your mind, and you just, that can truly bring, such heartache and despair, and anger, saying to any black, Hispanic, and Native Indian man that was expecting to have, a family. Even a child in general. And there shall be no might in thine hand. So just like we go out there and we, send all these pictures and reports to news stations, letting them know our child's name, what it is they were wearing, things they like, the vehicle that they were last seen, in, where it is, what direction it is they were heading in. Doing all these different type of things, in order to fight for, our children. You understand that it's ultimately it's going to be, hopeless. Not a whole lot of our, children are found after they've been taken, especially when it comes to, so really all tribes, black, Hispanic, or Native Indian. You understand? Because our oppressor does not sit there and he does not search out our babies as he should, for the simple fact that he does not give a damn about us as a people. So he don't give a damn. Even with how much faith it is that we put in our oppressor, saying his government, his law system, all these different aspects of America. These people, they'll simply never, never truly care about us. They won't even care enough to keep an eye out for a vehicle. So they sit there and say, that we all look alike whenever it comes to committing, a crime. Whenever it comes to, catching somebody that has supposedly committed a crime. And hey, one black baby ain't gonna look different from the next. We're going to skip down to verse 43. Give you a second to get there. Verse 43. Slacking. The strength shall get up above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low. So who's the stranger amongst blacks, Hispanics, and natives that is without a doubt saying towering above us? I'm saying as a nation, saying someone that can simply do any and everything that they really want to do to us as a people without any type of consequence. Saying that's without a doubt our oppressor. So which is why he can go and get away with all these different murders it is that he commits. Why it is he can go out in his own society and commit all type of frauds. You understand? Really, they can do anything that they want to, and they can do the same thing that a black, Hispanic, or Native Indian does, and they will not get anywhere near the same type of punishment that we can get. So they can go and they can become the biggest drug lord. And they can go out and they can, distribute kiddie porn. They can be rapists, murderers, pimps. They can be a damn cop killer, anything out there. And their sentence is going to be so minuscule compared to, the nation of Israel that it is, really laughable about how, light it is that their, punishments are. And it's like that when it comes to all things. It's in all things out there. It's in just like an unarmed, black man can just be flat out murdered. Saying whether we're being choked out, whether we get tased to death, saying whether we get beaten to death, whether we get shot, whether we're left to die of, starvation or thirst, or, simply not being treated properly. You understand? And then you can go to, an oppressor that is wielding, a firearm or a blade. And, what I'm saying? Our oppressor, he'll sit there and try to simply talk him down and, do everything in his power in order to, not have to take some type of, violent action towards his own, which is why so many of these, different school shooters and church shooters and movie theater shooters, saying mall shooters, I'm saying they got a shooter for every type of activity that there is out there. I'm saying why all these different people can be taken alive even after they've without a doubt shown that they are deadly, that they have no intention of leaving anyone alive. You're saying, and yet you can go to an unarmed black man and he's going to be murdered within 30 seconds of coming into contact with an officer. I'm saying coming into contact with one of these racist devils out here trying to take matters into their own hands. You understand? And that's just the way of America. I'm saying when a damn naked devil wielding a damn hatchet and a knife can be taken a lot easier without punches being thrown as compared to like a damn, I forget how old that sister was. She was like 70 6-year-old grandmother that gets body slammed to the ground. You understand? It's not the same for us in these lands. You understand? We're not equal. We're not viewed the same. You understand? We are not the same people. It's totally different for us. Therefore, we had to conduct ourselves differently. And even if we conduct ourselves differently, there's no guarantee that our oppressor's not going to, simply come out. And so the proper way for us to, conduct ourselves differently is to simply come back to keeping the laws, statutes, and commandments that the Lord gave to us as a nation. I mean, that's the simplest way. That's the easiest way. I'm saying it's the way it's going to lead to no bloodshed. You understand? Because once we start keeping the law, statutes, and commandments that were given to us and solely us, I mean, the Lord, he's going to do what he's always done when we've been obedient, which is he's going to watch over his chosen people. And he's going to ensure that we survive, you understand, that we thrive as a nation. You understand? But it can only happen once we start coming back to what it is that the Lord told us to do as a people. I'm saying not before then. You understand? Not, after then. It's got to be, right now. I'm saying the Lord likes to see results. Saying the Lord is not a Christian. He don't want to just hear what you're going to do. He don't want to hear you singing and dancing and doing all this other nonsense. The Lord wants to see action. You know what I'm saying? He wants to see you doing what it is that you said you would do. And thou shalt come down very low. So we already went over that with the first part of the scripture. Saying one important thing to take away is that this right here, I'm saying land of America, I'm saying up in Canada, wherever it is that we want to travel in the world, trying to, get away from what it is that's going on in our own communities, or, just to experience something. You understand? This is not our kingdom as a people. You're saying as a nation. We might like to sit there and think that, America loves us. I'm saying his people love us. There's just a few bad apples here or there. You understand? This place is solely meant for these heathen nations. It's not meant for us as a people. You understand? Our place is, in I.S.U.P.K, under Command YAHANNA. Our place is in the kingdom of heaven, where we will solely rule and never have to worry about a single one of these devils again coming out and murdering us just for, a good laugh. You understand? Just for some entertainment, which is done time and time again. You understand? It's only a matter of time until Christ returns. It's saying because World War III is getting closer and closer. The plagues that the Lord has unleashed upon the earth, you understand, they're getting more severe, popping up in abundance. You understand? Famine has already started coming to the lands. What else you need to, recognize that the end times is here? You understand? To recognize that Babylon is fallen. All right, we're going to go ahead and get into the security announcements. I.S.U.P.K security announcements. We're at I.S.U.P.K. Start out 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Rule for new brother and sister. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There's another 6 months period. There's another 6 months in which the brother and sister will court each other. After this 6-month period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. Book of Numbers, chapter 18, verse 21. Book of Malachi, chapter 3, verse 8 to 10. Means tenth in the Hebrew. Ma'ashra, 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you, get to treasury department or teacher. Priest fund. It's a free will offering for priests. It's not mandatory. It's whatsoever amount you would like. Upcoming holy convocations. We'll get back with you next class about that one. If anyone wants to be a trooper in the school, just start wearing all black boots, shirt, pants, headband, or a war scarf. With that said, I majum, which means to stand. Wapunya Hakwadum, which means turn and face the east. We're going to start out with the Lord's Prayer in the Hebrew. Abanawu, Shabashamayim, Quadash, Haya, Shemka, Yahawu, Alawaka, Daba'ah, Ratazaika, Haya, Aisha, Ba'arataza, Kawa, Haya, Bashamayim, Nathan, Lanawa, Lakam, Call, Yawam, Lakanawa, Kabawathanawa, Kasalakanawa, Kabawathayanawa, Wala'a, Babayayanawa, Banasayawan, Abal, Hawishayanawa, Mayan, Rai, Kaya, Lakah, Hamalakwath, Waha'alu, Wahataparith, Lawalamyum, Aman. The Lord's Prayer in English. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Yahweh, thy kingdom come, thy will be done, in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and glory, forever. So be it. Amen. The prayer for the cock, or the power in the Hebrew. Yahweh, by Shem Yahushai, Babakashah, Nathanawa, Hakak, La Rapa'ah, Call Makalah, will call Madawa, Hakak, La Tahar, Hamatazarayim, Hakak, La Hakim, Hamathium, Hakak, Al Rakawath, Hatamalu, Lagarshan, by Shem Yahushai, the water Aman. Pray for the power in English. Yahweh, in the name of Yahushai, please give us the power to heal all manner of sickness and all manner of disease. the power to cleanse the leprous, the power to raise the dead, the power against unclean spirits, to cast them out. In the name of Yahushua, thank you. So be it. Prayer for the blessings in Hebrew. Barakatah Yahweh, Yahushua, Wam Yaka'ala, Walahayim, Matazaviyah, Alawap Yahanna, Alawapim, Hazaranyam, Hakwatazayanyam, Hakayayayam, Wahakwathim, Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahushai, the Waraman. Pray for the blessings in English. Bless you, Yahweh, and Yahushai, and Michael, and the angels, commanding General YAHANNA, the generals, the captains, the officers, the troopers, and the sisters. Yahweh, in the name of Yahushai. Thank you. So be it. Blessed are you, Yahweh, King of heaven and earth, and all things living. Yahweh, in the name of Yahushai, listen to us now, right now. Send evils and curses, and punishment and destruction to the heathen that speak against us, thy prophets, the teachers, the princes, the priests, the Israelite brothers, and the school. Send evils and curses, and punishment and destruction to the heathen, and shake loose the pockets of the rich of Israel that refuse to give to the school. Force their riches to enter into thy sanctuary. Send evils and curses, and punishment and destruction to the Edomites and the nations and their drug dealers, the court system, the prison system, Planned Parenthood, all the governments of our enemies, Amalek synagogues and armies, Roman Catholic Church, the Pope, Islam, Christianity, Egyptology, militia, Ku Klux Klan, Aryan Nation, skinheads, Posse Comitazi, the gay movement, the lesbian movement, spies, workers of witchcraft, NASA space programs, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Wall Street. Open up the internet and the airways, the cable access channels, and the radio channels. Convict the spirit of any of thy people that seek to stop us, and bring swift destruction to all the heathen that stand in the way or try to stop us from broadcasting your words throughout the planet Earth. Let loose all the plagues, cause them to go to and fro through the earth and destroy. Cause the plagues to come against America and destroy them in their strongholds. Let America shake at the hands of the terrorists. Let Yahushua, Michael, and Gabriel come down with the flying saucers and destroy all the heathens that come up against us as we speak thy word. Cause it to be known by all that it is the angels that have done it. Cause it to be spread through the media, throughout the whole world. Cause them to shake at thy coming. In the name of Yahweh Shai, thank you, always, so be it. Sar, which means a turn. I'm going to give a courteous salute of Israel. Majim Shabbat. Majim Barak. Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai Barakatham. This is Matah. I'm going to give a courteous salute to the sisters. Majim Shabbat. Majim Barak. Yahweh Shamar Al Thun Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. This is Matah. Class dismissed.